Right guys, welcome to part 2 of this RetroPie tutorial. Now, if you haven't watched the first part, watch the first part up here. It tells you how to download and install RetroPie from retropie.org.uk onto your little micro SD card. Okay, now the one I'm using here is a 32 gig. Okay, so what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you what you need and how to configure RetroPie, because we've already installed it now onto SD card. What I want to do is I want to take this case, the Pi out of this case, and put it into this little Pi Tendo. Look at that! Look, it looks like the old retro Nintendo. Because I've got this controller here as well, which is the old NES Nintendo controller retro USB controller. Okay, so we need to use this to configure the system. Right, so just bear in mind that if you have got other controllers like the N64 or Sega Mega Drive or anything, some of the games you might not be able to function properly because you haven't got the buttons, but I'll explain that as we go along. Anyway, you're also going to need a power cable for your Raspberry Pi. Now this is, as standard, the Raspberry Pi doesn't come with any power supply, but it's a micro USB cable. Okay, and you can get these on eBay. You see that's the official Raspberry Pi one there. When you buy these, they do come with adapters where you can change for different countries. You've got a US one, I think you've got a Europe one as well, but we've chosen, obviously because we're in the UK, we're going to use the UK version. Okay, put that back on there. There you go. Right, so that's your power supply. We're going to take this out of here. Okay, ta-da! Here's one I made earlier. So this is the Raspberry Pi. As you can see, I've put a heatsink on the GPU there, CPU and the GPU there, and also a little heatsink here on the wireless. So you're also going to need a USB stick. Now, this is just a USB chipstick. You can get them on eBay. I'll leave a link in the description. Minimum of 8 gig, I recommend. Same as the SD card, because the SD card only holds the operating system. All the games and everything is going to be on this. Alright, so you're going to need a chipstick as well. Going back to Raspberry Pi, so you've got HDMI port here, which you're going to need an HDMI cable to connect to your TV. That's where the power goes. You've also got an audio jack here if you wanted to plug the external speakers or anything, but if you're using HDMI through your TV or through your monitor, it will go through there anyway. It's also got a Ethernet port, RJ45, and 4 USB ports. Now obviously we're going to be using one for the controller, okay, like so, and then one for USB stick. Now if you've got more than one controller, which I have, see, so that'll be like that. Okay, so if you've got more than one controller like I have, another one here for you, Dan. When we do our little gaming session, you can just plug them into port 2 like that. So you've got ports 1 and 2, so you've got 2 things there. We only need the one controller. Okay, so let's have a look at this case. So, oh, there you go, right. That's how it goes. So there it is there. Got the controller in there. Power cable will go in there. Let's just do it. Power cable goes in like so. Right, so there you have it. That is the setup there. We won't need this just yet. I'll explain that in a little while. Let's put these little feet on. Let's get the little feet on there. There's the 4 little feet. Excellent. Right, so that is our little Pi Tendo ready to rock and roll. So we're going to configure this little beauty here, and yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so we've hooked our Raspberry Pi up to our TV. We've got the SD card in, and we're just going to power the baby up. Now we're going to leave the controller out for the moment. Okay, so we're going to leave that controller out for the moment, just while we boot it up, because we'll see what you'll see on the screen anyway in a minute. So Let's plug the power in. Okay, there, look, see you've got little lights coming on there, and as you can see on the screen, it starts to load up. Excellent. Now, it automatically resizes the file system and then reboots itself, okay? And you see that little screen there, that's the standard Raspberry Pi screen boot up there. And you'll see it starts to run the system coming up. So all of this that you see on the screen there is just standard Linux kernel operating system there, if you're familiar. And there you go, look, RetroPie is coming up there, as you can see there. Ooh, look at that, start it up. What's it doing? Ooh, emulation station, there you go. Right, so we have our welcome screen. Now that is brilliant startup, that's what you see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to plug our controller in. We'll figure the controller, so we'll put that in now. We'll press, let's just press A. Hey, use gamepad. USB gamepad. Right, now when you get to this screen, it's going to say, it's going to ask you to configure each of the buttons. Okay, now obviously on the screen it says D-pad up, so you've got the up button here, so if we press up, that's done there. You want the down, left, right, start. Okay, now if you haven't got a select button, now some controllers, like I said earlier, do not have certain buttons. So if you haven't got a certain button, just hold any button then for a few seconds and it will go on. But we've got select, so we press select. So that goes through all of them, so we'll go okay, yes, okay. Hey, there we go. Right, so we are now, when you see this screen here that says RetroPie, we are at the RetroPie selection. So as you can see, there's nothing literally here, so because it's just basically we've got to add all our games to it. So that is basically configured now with this controller. So that's the setup. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up games. Okay, so that's the next step. Okay, so for the next stage you need your USB chipstick, and we need to put this into your computer. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the computer now, and as you can see it's come up there. So if we click on it here, now I'm using a Mac, but if you're using Windows, you need to create a folder. So you need to create a folder. In Windows it's right click, new folder. On this one it's the same. On a Mac, right click, new folder, or file, new folder under Finder. And we need to rename this, just simply call it RetroPie, all one word, bash. Okay, so you've got that folder on there now. Okay, so now we need to eject that. Okay, that's gone. So now we've got that out of our computer, we need to plug this back into the Raspberry Pi, into the RetroPie. Gosh, okay, it'll start flashing away. So it's stopped flashing, so I'm going to unplug that now. We need to go back to the computer screen. Okay, so we plug the USB stick back in computer. So we go into it. You'll see in RetroPie there is now 3 folders. Okay, so you've got BIOS, configs and ROMs. So if you go into ROMs, you can see all the different, let's put that on this mode, you can see all the different systems that are on there. You've got Atari, Game Gear, Game Boy, Mega Drive, Nintendo, PS3, SNES, PX, Sega 32. So you've got all these different games. Okay, now obviously there is nothing, we haven't got any games installed yet, okay, but you need to install the games yourself. Okay, so I'm going to show you that in the next video, how to download and install the ROMs onto the USB and then get them onto the RetroPie. Okay, so we'll see you all in the next part. Thanks for watching, see you soon in ROM emulator, and we'll see all the games loaded. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next part. SHITRH for now.